Hey, New Life Church. My name is Michael Hogue. I am the student pastor at our Heber Springs campus. So we are in day 10 of our devotional. And today is a big day because we're going to be talking about Jesus being born. Finally, it's happening. We've had 9 days of this devotional where we've been building up to this. And I love that this is happening on the 10th day. I love that we've had so much before this leading up to this because this really shows us that this story doesn't start with the birth of Jesus. It starts way back there. In the beginning of Luke, it starts with the angel Gabriel appearing to Zechariah, telling about John the Baptist. The angel Gabriel appearing to Mary, telling about the birth of Jesus, but it actually goes even way further back than that. Now, there's 4 Gospels in the Bible. 2 of them tell the story of Jesus' birth. We've got Luke and we've got Matthew. So like we said, Luke starts with the foretelling of the birth of John the Baptist and the birth of Jesus, but Matthew starts all the way back in Abraham. It starts with the genealogy to show this line. But if you really want to see where this story starts, you have to look at the beginning of John. John 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This shows us clearly, like, this story starts all the way back. This was clearly God's plan from the entire beginning to send Jesus to reconcile. In fact, if you look at Colossians 1, 15 through 20, I'm not going to read all of it today. Definitely you should read it, but I want to share this part with you. It says, "For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross." Look, this was God's plan. So starting this story, we're going to start in Luke chapter 2. The story goes, we got Joseph, we got Mary. They are on their way to Bethlehem. And the reason they're going to Bethlehem is because there's a census. And the census is something that the Caesar loved to do. I know of at least 3 censuses that happened at the beginning there with Jesus' life or in his early years. But he had this census and he was just going to count everybody. And to count everybody, everyone had to go back to their ancestral homes, which was David and Mary's were both from the line of David. So they had to go to Bethlehem. And I love this because this shows that God pays attention to the fine details of things, because them actually going to Bethlehem was a fulfillment of a prophecy that we see in Micah 5:2, that saying, "A ruler of Israel with origins of distance past will come on my behalf." And it's saying this is going to happen in Bethlehem. So in this story, though, we got 2 common misconceptions we're going to see all the time. First of all, we don't really know how long Mary and Joseph was in Bethlehem before Jesus was born. I know we all like to see the story and we have it on our head where you got Mary who's in labor, riding on a donkey, going door to door, knocking on the inn, and the innkeeper's "There's no room." That's really not necessarily the case. It just says that they had to go to Bethlehem. While they were there, Jesus was born. It could have been a day, could have been multiple days, it could have been weeks, could have been longer, who knows. The second big misconception is there was no inn. There was no innkeeper. And I know that maybe you're saying that, hey, your Bible says there's no room at the inn, but if you look at that word that's used as inn, it's a katalama, sorry. And that word really just means guest room. Some translations say there was no lodging for them. Some say there was no room in the guest room. We actually know that he went to his ancestral home, his family home there, but there was no room in there. So even though there was no inn, there was a manger. We know that that's where Jesus was, which a manger is just basically like a food trough. It's where they fed animals. So Jesus was placed in the manger. And I just love this because this is so cool, thinking about just the humble beginnings. I mean, that's a humble origin for anyone, but this is the King of Kings. This is the image of the invisible God, as Paul says, and he's born into these circumstances. He's into these situations. So why is this important? Well, it's important because we serve a God who does not lack the ability to empathize with us. He understands the human experience because he lived it. He humbled himself to live with us, to die for us, all so that we could have relationship with Him.